Please don't leave me too." The whisper cut through the November darkness like a blade. Jack Morrison froze behind the dumpster of his dead wife's diner, staring at a child he'd never seen before. 8 years old, trembling, clutching a torn, stuffed rabbit. Her hollow eyes locked onto his, with the desperate hope of someone abandoned too many times to truly believe in rescue. She pulled out a crumpled note with shaking hands. "My mama left 2 days ago," she whispered. "She said to find someone better." Jack's throat closed as the girl turned the rabbit over, revealing faded embroidery. Sarah's diner. What this broken soldier kneeling in the dirt didn't know. What he couldn't possibly know as he stared at this terrified, starving child was that his late wife had written about her in a journal he'd been too grief-stricken to open. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The November darkness pressed against the windows of Jack Morrison's pickup truck as he turned onto Maple Street. 18 months. That's how long he'd been gone. 18 months of desert sand, field hospitals, and men crying out in languages he didn't understand. 18 months of trying not to think about home, because home meant thinking about Sarah. He slowed as the truck passed the Methodist church, where they'd married 28 years ago. The steeple still needed painting. Mrs. Henderson's garden still bloomed with late-season mums. The hardware store still had the same faded awning. Everything looked exactly the same. Everything except him. Jack pulled into his driveway and killed the engine. The silence felt heavy. Wrong. Sarah should be opening the front door right now, wiping her hands on her apron, smiling that smile that made everything okay. But Sarah was gone. He grabbed his duffel bag and climbed the porch steps. The key stuck in the lock the way it always had. Inside, the house smelled stale, closed up. He flipped the light switch and there it was. Sarah's reading chair by the window, her knitting basket beside it. The blue sweater she'd been working on still draped over the armrest, needles frozen mid-stitch. His chest tightened. Jack dropped the duffel in the hallway and moved through the rooms like a ghost. In the kitchen, her coffee mug sat in the dish drainer. In the bedroom, her slippers waited beside the bed. The church ladies who'd cleaned up after the funeral had asked if he wanted them to pack Sarah's things. He'd said no. He'd deal with it when he got back. Now he was back, and he still couldn't touch anything. He unpacked mechanically. Uniforms in the hamper, toiletries in the bathroom. The folded flag from Sarah's funeral stayed in his duffel. He wasn't ready to look at it. By 9 o'clock, the silence was suffocating. Jack grabbed his keys and headed back to the truck. He didn't have a destination in mind until he found himself driving toward Main Street, toward Sarah's diner. The building sat dark and abandoned. Plywood covered the windows. Someone had spray-painted "For Lease" across the boards. Jack parked and sat staring at it, remembering Saturday mornings when Sarah would make him pancakes before the breakfast rush. She'd hum while she cooked, always humming. He climbed out of the truck, drawn forward by memory. The front door was chained shut. He walked around the side of the building, past the empty parking lot, toward the back alley where they used to take delivery trucks. That's when he heard it, a soft, broken sound, whimpering. Jack froze. His combat instincts kicked in. Assess the threat. Locate the source. Approach with caution. He moved quietly toward the dumpster. Behind it, curled into a ball against the brick wall, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. Her blonde hair was matted and dirty. Her clothes were too thin for November. She clutched a stuffed rabbit that looked like it had been through a war of its own. When she saw Jack, she tried to make herself smaller. "Hey," Jack said softly, crouching down but keeping his distance. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The girl stared at him with eyes too old for her face. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Emma." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm Jack. How long have you been out here, Emma? She shrugged. Her whole body was shaking. Jack slipped off his jacket and held it out slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. You must be freezing. Can I give you this? Emma hesitated, then reached for the jacket with trembling fingers. She wrapped it around herself. Do you have somewhere to go? Parents? Family? Emma's eyes filled with tears. She shook her head. Where's your mama? She left. Emma's voice cracked. 2 days ago. She said she couldn't do this anymore. She said to find someone better. Jack's heart clenched. Left you here? Alone? Emma nodded. From her pocket, she pulled a crumpled piece of paper. Jack took it carefully and unfolded it. I can't do this anymore. Find someone better. Kay. Jesus, Jack breathed. I didn't know where to go, Emma whispered. I was scared. Jack's military training took over. Assess, stabilize, protect. Okay. Listen to me, Emma. You're safe now. I'm going to take care of you. First thing we need to do is get you warm and make sure you're okay. There's a hospital not far from here. Will you let me take you there? Emma clutched the stuffed rabbit tighter. You won't leave me there? I'll stay with you. I promise. Jack walked back to his truck and returned with a bottle of water and a protein bar from his emergency kit. Emma drank like she hadn't had water in days. She probably hadn't. Can you walk? Jack asked. Emma nodded and stood on wobbly legs. Jack steadied her with a gentle hand on her shoulder. Together, they walked to his truck. He helped her into the passenger seat and cranked the heat. Willow Creek General Hospital was a 10-minute drive. Emma didn't say a word the whole way. She just held that rabbit and stared out the window. The ER was quiet for a Monday night. Jack carried Emma inside. She weighed almost nothing and approached the desk. I need help. I found this little girl abandoned behind Sarah's diner. She's been out there 2 days. The nurse's eyes widened. Oh my God. Let me get Dr. Patel. They were taken back immediately. Dr. Patel, a kind woman in her 50s, examined Emma gently, while Jack stood nearby. Emma wouldn't let go of his hand. Dehydration, Dr. Patel said quietly. Malnutrition, but no signs of physical abuse. We'll start an IV, get some fluids in her. What about her mother? Jack asked. We've called the police and social services. Someone should be here soon. Emma's grip tightened on Jack's hand. Please don't leave me too. Jack looked down at this broken little girl and saw something he recognized. Someone who'd been left behind. Someone trying to survive alone. I'm not going anywhere, he said. At 11 p.m., a tired-looking woman in a blazer appeared in the doorway. I'm Janet Rodriguez, she said. Child Protective Services. Jack sat in the hard plastic chair outside Emma's hospital room, watching through the window as her small chest rose and fell. The IV drip counted seconds. She'd fallen asleep clutching that battered rabbit, her face finally peaceful. Janet Rodriguez paced the corridor, her cell phone pressed to her ear. I understand you're full, but this is an 8-year-old child. Yes, I know it's almost midnight. Can you check again? She hung up and immediately dialed another number. Jack counted 5 calls. Each one ended the same way. Finally, Janet slumped into the chair beside him. She rubbed her eyes and sighed. All our emergency foster placements are full. Won't have openings until Monday at the earliest. What happens to her tonight? Jack asked. There's a group facility about 2 hours north. It's not ideal. 20 kids, minimal staff overnight. But it's licensed and safe. Jack looked through the window at Emma. She'd asked him not to leave her. He'd promised. What's the alternative? Janet studied him for a long moment. You seem like a decent man, Mr. Morrison. Dr. Patel says you were a combat medic. Chief Marcus Reeves vouched for you when I called him. Marcus and I served together, Jack said. He's good people. The alternative is temporary emergency placement with you, just for the weekend. It would require a quick screening tonight. Basic questions, I'd check your home, run a background check. Monday morning, we'd do a full assessment and find her proper placement. Janet paused. I wouldn't normally suggest this, but I've been doing this job 12 years. I can spot the good ones. And that little girl has already been through enough without spending the weekend in a facility. Jack's throat tightened. He thought about the empty nursery upstairs, the one he and Sarah had painted yellow during their first round of fertility treatments. They'd tried for 7 years, spent their savings on doctors and procedures and prayers. Every month, Sarah would take another test. Every month, she'd cry in his arms when it came back negative. Eventually, they'd stopped trying, accepted it, made peace with just the two of them. But Sarah had always wanted to be a mother. "I'll do it," Jack said. Janet pulled out a tablet and started asking questions. Where did he work? Did he have a criminal record? Any history of substance abuse? Mental health concerns? Jack answered truthfully. Unemployed since his discharge last week. Clean record. Occasional nightmares from combat, but nothing diagnosed. "The house is clean," he added. "I've got a spare bedroom. I can provide for her." "This isn't permanent, Mr. Morrison. You understand that? Monday, we'll reassess." "I understand." Janet made notes. "Let's go check your home. Dr. Patel will keep Emma overnight for observation anyway. We'll come back for her in the morning." By 1 a.m., Janet had inspected Jack's house, taken photos, and approved the temporary placement. Emma was discharged with instructions to follow up with a pediatrician. She fell asleep in Jack's truck on the drive home, her head against the window. Jack carried her inside and laid her on the couch. "I'm going to get a room ready for you, okay? Just rest here." Upstairs, he opened the guest room door. The bed was made with Sarah's grandmother's quilt. Jack found fresh sheets in the linen closet, changed the bedding, and set out towels. When he came back downstairs, Emma was awake and watching him. "There's a bathroom upstairs," Jack said gently. "How about you take a warm shower? Get cleaned up? I'll find you something to sleep in." Emma nodded. She moved slowly, like she hurt all over. Jack dug through his drawers and found an old t-shirt that would work as a nightgown. He left it outside the bathroom door. While the shower ran, he went to the kitchen and heated milk on the stove. Sarah had always made hot chocolate when the world felt too heavy. 20 minutes later, Emma appeared in the kitchen doorway. Her hair was damp and combed. The oversized shirt hung past her knees. She looked impossibly small. "Sit," Jack said, gesturing to the table. He poured hot chocolate into 2 mugs and added marshmallows to hers. Emma wrapped both hands around the mug and breathed in the steam. She took a small sip, then another. "When's the last time you ate a real meal?" Jack asked. "I don't remember. Sometimes Mama would bring food from the gas station. Sometimes we just had crackers." "Where were you living?" "Motel on Route 9. The Starlight. But Mama stopped paying, so they made us leave. Then we stayed with her boyfriend for a while, but he got mean. Then we were just moving around." Jack's jaw tightened. "Did anyone hurt you?" Emma shook her head quickly. "Mama's boyfriend yelled a lot, but he didn't hit me." "What about school?" "I went sometimes, when we stayed in one place long enough." Emma stared into her mug. "I'm not very good at reading." "That's okay. We'll figure it out." Emma set down her mug and picked up the stuffed rabbit she'd carried from the hospital. One ear was torn, the stuffing coming out. The fur was matted and gray. "The nice diner lady gave me this," Emma said softly. "When Mama and me came in for breakfast one time, I didn't have any toys, and she saw me looking at it in her office. She said it was special, that it would keep me safe." Emma traced the rabbit's worn ear. She had the warmest smile. "She always gave me extra pancakes when Mama wasn't looking." Jack's heart stopped. He looked closer at the rabbit and saw it. Faded embroidery on the foot. Sarah's diner. Sarah had given Emma this rabbit. Sarah had fed her. Sarah had known. "Did the lady tell you her name?" Jack asked carefully. Emma scrunched her face, thinking. "I don't remember. But she was really nice. She had kind eyes like yours." Jack swallowed hard. "Come on, let's get you to bed." He led Emma upstairs and showed her the guest room. She climbed into bed and pulled the quilt up to her chin. "Will you still be here in the morning?" she whispered. Jack sat on the edge of the bed. "I promise. People don't usually keep their promises." "I know, but I will." Emma's eyes were already closing. "Thank you, Jack." He waited until her breathing deepened, then stood and walked quietly to the hallway. Sarah's old rocking chair sat by the window. Jack pulled it closer to Emma's doorway, where he could see her, and settled into it. Through the window, stars scattered across the November sky. Sarah used to say stars were God's way of reminding people they weren't alone. Jack hadn't believed in much of anything since she died. But tonight, watching this broken little girl sleep peacefully for the first time in days, something shifted inside him. A crack in the wall he'd built around his grief. A whisper of purpose. Sarah had known Emma, had helped her. And somehow, impossibly, Emma had found her way to Jack. He leaned his head back against the chair and kept watch, the way he'd done for wounded soldiers in field hospitals, the way he'd wished he could have done for Sarah. This time, he wouldn't fail. Jack's eyes opened at 5:47 a.m. Years of military wake-up calls had trained his body to rise before dawn. For a moment, he forgot where he was, forgot everything except the weight of his gear and the sound of incoming wounded. Then he remembered. Home, Willow Creek, Emma. He sat up in the rocking chair, his back stiff from sleeping upright. Gray morning light filtered through the hallway window. He looked toward the guest room doorway. Emma was awake. She sat on the edge of the bed in his oversized t-shirt, hands folded in her lap, watching the hallway, waiting. Their eyes met. "I'm still here," Jack said quietly. Emma's shoulders dropped. She'd been holding her breath. Downstairs, Jack pulled eggs from the refrigerator and bread from the pantry. His hands moved automatically. Crack, whisk, pour. The motions were familiar, safe. Sarah used to make breakfast every Sunday after church. She'd hum while she cooked. The kitchen felt too quiet without her humming. Emma appeared in the doorway, still clutching her stuffed rabbit. She watched Jack with careful eyes, like she was studying him for signs he might disappear. "You like scrambled eggs?" Jack asked. "I don't know. I've never had them." Jack paused, spatula in hand. "Never. Mama usually got breakfast sandwiches from the gas station, or we had cereal. Sometimes nothing." Jack turned back to the stove before Emma could see his face. He focused on the eggs, scrambling them slowly, adding a pinch of salt the way Sarah had taught him. When the toast popped, he buttered it and set a plate in front of Emma. She sat at the kitchen table and stared at the food like she wasn't sure it was real. "Go ahead," Jack said gently. Emma picked up the fork, took a small bite, then another. Then she was eating faster, like she was afraid the plate might vanish. "Slow down," Jack said. "There's plenty. I can make more." Emma forced herself to chew slower. Between bites, she set the rabbit on the table beside her plate. Jack noticed the embroidery again, Sarah's diner, faded but still legible. "Tell me about the lady who gave you that," Jack said. Emma touched the rabbit's torn ear. "She worked at the diner, the one with the pretty blue curtains. Mama took me there once, maybe. I don't know. A long time ago. Before summer. What happened? Mama didn't have much money. But the lady, she smiled at me and brought pancakes anyway. Big ones with syrup. And when Mama went to the bathroom, the lady gave me this." Emma lifted the rabbit. "She said it was hers when she was little, that it would keep me safe when things got scary." Jack's throat tightened. "Did you go back?" "A few times, whenever Mama remembered. The lady always saved the corner booth for us, always gave me extra pancakes when Mama wasn't looking." Emma's voice got smaller. She had the nicest smile, like she really saw me, not just through me. Jack had to look away. He poured himself coffee he didn't want just to have something to do with his hands. Sarah had known. 8 months ago, she'd known this child needed help. And she'd done what she always did. Loved quietly, without needing recognition. What was her name? Emma asked. I never knew. Sarah, Jack said. Her name was Sarah. After breakfast, Jack stood in his bedroom doorway and stared at the nightstand. Sarah's journal sat there, untouched for a year. He'd packed it carefully when he deployed, brought it home in his duffel bag, but couldn't bring himself to open it. Reading her words felt like losing her all over again. But Emma's story kept circling through his mind. The pancakes, the rabbit, the corner booth. Jack picked up the journal. The leather cover was soft and worn. Sarah had written in it every night before bed, processing her day, her prayers, her hopes. He opened to a random page. May 15th, 3 months before she died. Met the sweetest little girl at the diner today. Emma, maybe 8 years old. Her mother seems troubled, tired. They ordered the cheapest thing on the menu and split it. Emma was so polite, so careful not to ask for anything. But I saw how she looked at the pancakes at the next table. So I made her a stack. Said it was a mistake order. She ate every bite. Lord, this child needs help. I can see it in her eyes. Please show me how to reach them. Jack's hands trembled. He flipped forward. May 23rd. Emma and her mother came in again. Kelly, that's the mom's name. She's struggling with something. Addiction, maybe. I've seen that look before. I gave them a booth in the corner and made sure Emma got fed. I found my old stuffed rabbit in the office and gave it to Emma. She hugged it like I'd given her the world. June 8th. Haven't seen Emma in 2 weeks. I'm worried. I've been praying for her every night. Praying God sends someone to help. Praying she stays safe. The entries continued through July. Sarah documenting each time Emma came in. Each quiet act of kindness. Each prayer. The last entry about Emma was dated July 28th, 2 weeks before Sarah died. Emma came in today looking thinner than ever. Kelly's boyfriend was with them. Drunk. Angry. I gave them food and slipped Kelly my card with the church's number on it. Told her we had resources if she needed help. She crumpled it up after they left. But Emma looked back at me through the window. I think she understood. God, I don't know how to save this child, but you do. Please send someone. Please don't let her fall through the cracks. Jack closed the journal. Tears blurred his vision. Sarah had prayed for someone to help Emma, and somehow, impossibly, Emma had found her way to him. He looked up at the ceiling. Sarah, he whispered, what are you trying to tell me? Janet Rodriguez arrived at 9 a.m. with a clipboard and a measuring attitude. She walked through every room, checked smoke detectors, examined the refrigerator, asked questions about Jack's Monday morning, arrived cold and bright. Jack pulled his truck into the Willow Creek Elementary parking lot and cut the engine. Beside him, Emma sat frozen in her seat, staring at the brick building like it might swallow her whole. You ready? Jack asked gently. Emma's hand found his. She squeezed tight. What if they don't like me? They're going to love you. What if I'm too dumb? Mama said I was too far behind to catch up. Jack turned to face her fully. Listen to me. You're smart. You're brave. And you're going to do great. Emma's eyes searched his face for lies. Finding none, she nodded slowly. They walked hand in hand across the parking lot. Emma's grip never loosened. Principal Hayes was a round woman with kind eyes and gray hair pulled into a neat bun. She welcomed them into her office with a smile that reached all the way to her crow's feet. You must be Emma, she said warmly. We're so glad you're here. Emma pressed closer to Jack's side, but managed a whispered, Thank you. Jack explained Emma's situation as carefully as he could. The gaps in her schooling, the instability, the trauma. Hayes listened without judgment, taking notes. We'll get her caught up, Hayes said firmly. That's what we do here. Every child deserves a fair start. She led them down the hallway to Mrs. Patterson's classroom. The third-grade teacher was younger than Jack expected, maybe 40, with blonde hair and a sweater covered in appliqued apples. "Emma!" Mrs. Patterson knelt to Emma's level. "I've been waiting to meet you. I saved you the best desk, right by the window so you can watch the birds." Emma's shoulders relaxed slightly. Mrs. Patterson showed them around the classroom, the reading corner with its beanbags, the art supplies, the word wall covered in vocabulary. Emma's eyes lingered on the crayons and colored pencils organized in neat bins. "You like art?" Mrs. Patterson asked. "I don't know. I've never really tried." Mrs. Patterson's smile never wavered. "Well, now you'll have lots of chances to find out." After the tour, Jack took Emma to the general store on Main Street. He grabbed a shopping cart and handed her the supply list from Mrs. Patterson. "Pick out whatever you want," he said. Emma looked at the list, then at the shelves full of notebooks and folders and pens. "Anything?" "Anything." She walked slowly through the aisles, running her fingers over the merchandise like it might disappear. She chose a purple folder, blue notebook, a pencil case shaped like a cat. When they reached the crayons, she stopped. "Jack, Dad?" It was the first time she'd used that name. Jack's throat tightened. "Yeah, sweetheart. Can I get the big box? The one with 64 colors?" He grabbed it off the shelf and dropped it in the cart. Done. At the register, Emma watched the total climb. Her face grew anxious. "That's a lot of money." "It's worth it," Jack said simply. The cashier, Mrs. Henderson, who'd gone to school with Sarah, smiled at them both. "Your daughter's going to do wonderful things." Jack didn't correct her. They fell into routines. Breakfast together every morning, eggs and toast, sometimes pancakes on weekends. Emma helped set the table, learning where everything went. Jack drove her to school and picked her up every afternoon. They did homework at Sarah's old kitchen table, Jack working through math problems he'd forgotten, and reading assignments that made Emma's brow furrow with concentration. "Sound it out," he'd say when she got stuck on a word. She did. Slowly, but she did. Bedtime was 8:30. Jack read to her from the stack of books Barbara had brought over. Chapter books about brave girls and magical adventures. Emma would curl up under the quilt, eyes heavy, listening. Some nights she asked about Sarah. Jack told her stories, how Sarah loved sunflowers, how she sang off-key in church, how she made the best peach pie in 3 counties. "I wish I could have known her better," Emma whispered one night. "She knew you," Jack said, "and she loved you. That's what matters." The paperwork was endless. Background checks, home inspections, financial statements. Barbara walked Jack through every form, every signature, every requirement. "The court moves slowly," she warned, "but we have a strong case." On December 3rd, the call came. Emergency custody granted. Emma could stay through the holidays and beyond while the state completed their evaluation. Jack told Emma over dinner. She stared at her plate, then at him, then burst into tears. "Happy tears?" Jack asked. "Happy tears," she sobbed. December meant Christmas. Jack hadn't celebrated since Sarah died. But for Emma, he pulled the boxes down from the attic. Lights, ornaments, the angel Sarah had loved for the treetop. They went to the tree lot together. Emma picked a Douglas fir that was slightly crooked. "It looks like it needs someone to love it," she explained. Jack bought it without hesitation. They spent December 5th decorating. Emma hung ornaments carefully, asking about each one. Jack told stories. This one from their first Christmas, that one from a church bazaar, another from Sarah's grandmother. Christmas music played on the radio. Emma hummed along, off-key just like Sarah used to. At 7 p.m. the doorbell rang. Jack opened the door. Kelly stood on the porch. She looked different. Cleaner, healthier, her eyes clear instead of glazed. She wore new clothes. Her hair was brushed. Behind her stood a man in a suit holding a briefcase. "Hi, Jack," Kelly said. Her voice was steady, sober. "Can we come in?" Jack's stomach dropped. "What's this about?" The man extended his hand. "Derek Foster. I'm Ms. Carter's attorney." They sat in the living room. Emma had gone quiet upstairs when she'd heard her mother's voice. Kelly held a certificate from Mountain View Rehabilitation Center. 10 days sober. Group meetings attended. Individual counseling completed. "I've got an apartment now," Kelly said. "On Birch Street. 1 bedroom, but it's clean. Safe. And I got a job at Henderson's Grocery. 3rd shift stocking. But it's steady." Derek Foster pulled documents from his briefcase. "Ms. Carter has completed a court-approved rehabilitation program. She's maintained sobriety for 17 days. She has stable housing and employment. As Emma's biological mother, she's within her rights to petition for return of custody." Jack's hands clenched. "Emma's been abandoned 4 times. She has scars. Trauma. Ms. Carter acknowledges past mistakes," Foster said smoothly. "But people can change. The courts favor reunification when a parent demonstrates genuine rehabilitation." Kelly looked at Jack. Something like regret flickered in her eyes. "I know I messed up, but she's my daughter. I deserve a chance to make things right." Foster handed Jack an envelope. "Formal notice. Custody hearing scheduled for January 15th at 9 a.m. You'll want to secure representation." After they left, Jack stood in the hallway, staring at the papers in his hand. Footsteps pounded upstairs. A door slammed. He found Emma in her bedroom closet, knees pulled to her chest. The stuffed rabbit clutched against her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "She always says she'll change," Emma whispered. "But she never does." "Please, don't make me go back." Jack knelt beside the closet. He didn't have words, didn't have promises he could keep, so he just held her while she cried. The morning sun cut through the blinds in Barbara's office, striping the polished desk with bars of light. Jack sat across from her, hands folded tight in his lap. Emma was safe at school. Mrs. Patterson had promised to keep an extra eye on her today, but Jack's mind hadn't stopped racing since Kelly's visit. Barbara spread documents across her desk. Court filings, family law statute, case precedents. "I won't sugarcoat this," she said. Her voice was kind but firm. "We're facing an uphill battle." Jack's jaw tightened. "Tell me." "Tennessee law heavily favors biological parents. The courts assume that reunification is in the child's best interest, unless there's clear and convincing evidence otherwise." Barbara tapped one of the documents. "Kelly has completed a rehab program. She has housing and employment. On paper, she's demonstrating genuine effort to rehabilitate herself." "On paper." Jack's voice was flat. "Exactly." Barbara met his eyes. "You've known Emma for 2 weeks. Kelly is her legal mother. Unless we can prove that returning Emma to Kelly would cause significant harm, the court will likely order reunification, maybe with supervision at first, but ultimately, full custody." The words hit Jack like physical blows. 2 weeks. It sounded so insignificant when said out loud. But in those 2 weeks, Emma had become his whole world. "What do we need?" Jack asked. "Documentation. Hard evidence of Kelly's pattern of neglect and abandonment. Medical records of Emma's malnutrition and any injuries. School records showing the gaps in her education. Professional testimony about the trauma she's experienced." Barbara pulled out a business card. "I'm arranging an appointment with Dr. Leah Winters. She's a child psychologist who specializes in trauma. She'll evaluate Emma, document her psychological state, and provide expert testimony about what's in Emma's best interest." Jack took the card. "When?" "December 10th. That gives us 5 weeks before the hearing to build our case." Marcus stopped by that afternoon. He sat at Jack's kitchen table, coffee mug in hand, notepad open. "I looked into Kelly," Marcus said. "Quietly. Didn't want to tip anyone off. And? She's working at Save Mart. 3rd shift stocking, like she said. Landlord confirms she's renting that apartment on Oak Street. Moved in November 28th. I checked the NA meeting attendance at Grace Community Church. She's been to 4 meetings in the past 2 weeks. Jack's hope flickered, then died. So she's telling the truth. About the basics, yeah. Marcus flipped a page. But I also talked to her supervisor at SaveMart. She's called in sick twice already. Showed up late 3 times. One of her co-workers said she seemed jittery last Thursday night. That's not enough, is it? Not for a court. It's all circumstantial. Marcus closed his notebook. But Jack, 2 weeks sober, after years of addiction. That's fragile. Real recovery takes time. Commitment. Most people relapse multiple times before it sticks. Jack stared at his own coffee. Emma's terrified. She told me Kelly's promised to change before, always goes back to the drugs. Then we document everything, every sign of instability, every missed meeting. We build a timeline of Kelly's pattern. Marcus's voice softened, and we show the court that Emma's thriving with you. The evenings became sacred. Homework at the kitchen table. Jack helping Emma sound out words she didn't know. Working through math problems with patient repetition. She struggled. Years of missed school meant she was reading at a first-grade level. Her math skills equally behind. But she tried. She tried so hard it made Jack's chest ache. "What's 7 plus 8?" Jack asked. Emma counted on her fingers, lips moving silently. 15? Perfect. Her smile was sunlight breaking through clouds. Mrs. Patterson sent home notes. Emma was improving daily. Her initial fearfulness, hunched shoulders, averted eyes, jumping at sudden noises, was gradually easing. She'd started raising her hand in class. She'd made a friend named Sophie. The school counselor, Mr. Davis, documented everything in official reports. Emma's anxiety about her mother, her nightmares, her fear of abandonment. All of it went into Barbara's growing file. December 10th arrived cold and gray. Jack drove Emma to Dr. Winters's office after school. The building was cheerful, painted soft yellow, toys in the waiting room, children's artwork on the walls. Dr. Winters was a woman in her 40s, with gentle eyes and a calm voice. She knelt to Emma's level. "Hi, Emma. I'm Dr. Winters, but you can call me Dr. Leah if that's easier. I talk to kids about their feelings and help them feel better. Is it okay if we spend some time together?" Emma looked at Jack. He nodded encouragingly. "Okay," Emma whispered. The sessions were an hour each. Jack waited in the lobby, pretending to read magazines while anxiety twisted his stomach. The first day, Emma came out quiet, but not upset. "She has a dollhouse," Emma reported, "and we played with it." The second session, on December 11th, Emma was more subdued. We talked about Mama and the motel. The third session, December 12th, Emma cried. Dr. Winters walked her out personally, hand on Emma's shoulder. "You did really well today," she told Emma. "You're very brave." Jack took Emma home, made her hot chocolate, let her curl up on the couch with her rabbit, and watch a movie until her eyes grew heavy. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Jack's phone rang. Dr. Winters's name on the screen. "Mr. Morrison," she said, "I wanted to give you preliminary findings before I complete my written report." Jack's hand tightened on the phone. "Okay." Emma shows significant trauma indicators: hypervigilance, separation anxiety, fear of abandonment. She's experienced chronic neglect, emotional and physical, food insecurity, exposure to substance abuse and domestic instability. Dr. Winters paused. "She's also formed a strong, healthy attachment to you in a remarkably short time. That speaks to both her resilience and your consistency in providing safety. What about returning to her mother?" The silence stretched. "Emma is terrified," Dr. Winters said finally. "Not just anxious, genuinely terrified." She described previous promises her mother made that were broken, previous abandonments. She's afraid that if she goes back, it will happen again. Another pause. "In my professional opinion, removing Emma from your care and returning her to Kelly at this time would cause significant psychological harm." Jack's eyes burned. "Will you testify to that?" "Yes. I'll have my full evaluation ready by December 20th. It will be part of your case." After they hung up, Jack sat in the dark living room for a long time. Upstairs, Emma slept peacefully for the first time in days. He had hope. Fragile, tentative hope, but hope nonetheless. December 15th morning broke clear and cold. Frost painted the church windows in delicate patterns as Jack sat in a middle pew, watching Emma rehearse for the Christmas pageant. She stood on the raised platform with 7 other children, wearing a white sheet pinned into makeshift angel wings. Her hair, clean now, brushed smooth, caught the colored light streaming through the stained glass. She held a cardboard star, her voice small but steady as she recited her lines. "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy." Mrs. Patterson, directing from below, beamed. "Perfect, Emma. Remember to project just a little louder on Sunday." Emma nodded seriously. Then her eyes found Jack in the pews. Her whole face transformed. Pure light, unguarded joy. She waved with her free hand. Jack waved back, throat tight. This was what love felt like. Not the romantic love he'd shared with Sarah, but something equally powerful, paternal love. The fierce protectiveness of a father watching his daughter discover her worth. He'd never experienced it before. Never known this specific ache in his chest, this overwhelming need to shield her from every hurt while helping her grow brave. Sarah had wanted this for them, had prayed for it, and somehow, through tragedy and grace, here it was. December the 16th found them in the kitchen, Sarah's recipe box open on the counter. Flour dusted every surface. The griddle hissed. "Add the vanilla now," Jack instructed, reading Sarah's handwritten card. "Just a little." Emma carefully measured the capful, tongue between her teeth in concentration. She poured it into the bowl, then stirred with both hands, gripping the wooden spoon. "It smells like the diner," she said. Wonder colored her voice. "Like Miss Sarah." "That's because she made these pancakes every Sunday morning for 20 years. Jack tested the griddle temperature. "Ready to pour?" Emma nodded. Jack guided her hands as she ladled batter onto the hot surface. 3 perfect circles formed, bubbles rising through the pale gold. "Now we wait for the bubbles to pop," Jack said. Emma leaned close, watching intently. A strand of hair escaped her ponytail. Jack tucked it back, and his hand came away white with flour. "Emma, you've got—" She looked up. Flour streaked her cheek, dusted her nose, powdered her hair. Jack started laughing. He couldn't help it. Emma's eyes widened. Then she giggled. The sound built into real laughter, free and unself-conscious. She grabbed a handful of flour and tossed it at him. It hit his shirt in a white cloud. "Oh, you're in trouble now," Jack said, grinning. For 5 minutes, they forgot everything except the joy of the moment. Flour flew. Laughter echoed. When they finally stopped, both breathless, the kitchen looked like a snow globe had exploded. But the pancakes were perfect. December 18th, they drove to Miller's gift shop downtown. Christmas music played through overhead speakers. Tinsel and lights decorated every display. Emma walked slowly through the ornament section, studying each option with grave seriousness. Glass snowflakes, wooden reindeer, ceramic angels. Then she stopped. Her hand reached out, touched a silver heart. It was simple, elegant. 2 names could be engraved on it. "This one," Emma whispered. Jack knelt beside her. "You're sure?" She nodded. "Can we put both our names?" "Absolutely." 20 minutes later, the engraver handed them the finished ornament. Jack and Emma curved across the silver surface in delicate script. That evening, they hung it together on the front of their tree. Emma stood back, tilting her head. "It's perfect," she said softly. Marcus came by December 19th while Emma was at school. He sat at the kitchen table, expression troubled. "Kelly's slipping," he said, without preamble. "She's missed 3 NA meetings in the past week. Her supervisor at Save Mart says she called in sick twice, showed up visibly shaky another time. Coworkers report erratic behavior, laughing too loud one minute, snapping at people the next. Jack's hands curled into fists. Can we use that? It's all hearsay. No failed drug tests, no arrests, no documented evidence. Marcus rubbed his face. I'm watching her, Jack. If she slips up, actually slips up, we'll have something concrete. But right now, it's just concerning patterns. After Marcus left, Jack stood at the sink, gripping the counter edge. His nightmares had gotten worse lately. Combat memories mixed with new fears. Losing Emma, failing her, being found inadequate. He'd woken at 3 a.m. every night this week, heart pounding, Sarah's voice echoing in his memory. But then he'd walk past Emma's room, see her sleeping peacefully. Remember why he needed to stay strong. She gave him purpose, reason to manage his PTSD instead of drowning in it. He wouldn't fail her. December 21st arrived with cold sunshine. The church filled for the evening pageant. Families crowding pews, children fidgeting in costumes backstage. The scent of pine and candle wax thick in the air. Jack sat in the third row. Marcus and his family were beside him. Barbara Chen sat behind with her husband. The whole community had turned out. The lights dimmed, music swelled, the pageant unfolded. Mary and Joseph, shepherds, wise men. Then the angels appeared, Emma among them in her white sheet wings. She scanned the audience, found Jack. Her smile could have lit the whole sanctuary. She stood taller, spoke her lines with new confidence. Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy. Jack's vision blurred. He was her first. The first parent figure to ever attend her school events, her performances, her moments of triumph. The weight of that honor settled in his chest like an anchor. After the pageant, Emma ran to him. He caught her in his arms, lifted her off the ground. You were perfect, he said. You came, she whispered against his shoulder. You really came. Always, Jack promised. Always. That night, the storm hit without warning. They'd been home an hour. Emma was in pajamas, brushing her teeth, when the first thunder cracked. A violent boom that rattled windows. Jack was downstairs putting away dishes when he heard her scream. He took the stairs 3 at a time, found Emma in the bathroom, backed against the wall, shaking violently. Emma! Lightning flashed. Thunder followed immediately, deafening. Emma's scream became a sob. She slid down the wall, arms wrapped around her knees, rocking. Jack dropped beside her. It's okay. It's just thunder. You're safe. No, no, no. The words tumbled out between gasps. Another boom. Emma flinched like she'd been struck. And then it all poured out. He shouted like that, she choked. Mama's boyfriend. He shouted and threw things, and Mama was so scared, and I tried to be quiet. I tried, but he heard me and… Jack gathered her carefully. You're safe now. He's not here. Mama left me before. Not just once. 4 times. 4 times she said she was coming back, and she didn't. Once for 2 weeks. I stayed with a neighbor who didn't want me. Another time, she left me at a bus station. Emma's words came faster, years of terror spilling free. And the accident? It wasn't an accident. Mama was high, and she grabbed my arm too hard, pulled me, and I fell against the stove, and it burned me. But she said, never tell anyone, or they'd take me away forever, and it would be my fault. Jack's blood ran cold. Emma, let me see your arm. With trembling hands, Emma pushed up her sleeve. 3 circular scars marked her forearm. Old burns, deliberate in their spacing. Rage, white-hot and righteous, flooded Jack's system. But he kept his voice gentle. It's not your fault, he said firmly. None of this was ever your fault. Emma collapsed against him, sobbing. Outside, The storm raged, but inside, Jack held his daughter and let her finally tell the truth she'd been forced to hide. At 10 p.m., with Emma finally cried out and exhausted in his arms, Jack knew everything, and everything had just changed. Jack woke to small hands shaking his shoulder. He blinked against the dim light filtering through his curtains. "Jack, Dad! Jack, Dad! Wake up!" Emma bounced on her toes beside his bed. She wore the flannel pajamas the church ladies had donated, red plaid with little snowflakes. Her hair stuck up in every direction. "It's Christmas!" She grabbed his hand. "There's presents under the tree. Real presents with my name on them." Jack checked his watch. 7 a.m. He'd gotten maybe 5 hours of sleep, but Emma's joy erased any exhaustion. "Let me make coffee first," he said, sitting up. "Okay, but hurry." Emma danced toward the door, then stopped. "Jack, Dad? Thank you for all of this." His throat tightened. "You don't have to thank me, sweetheart." "Yes, I do." Her expression turned serious. Nobody ever made Christmas special before. She disappeared down the hall. Jack heard her feet thundering on the stairs. He took a moment, sitting on the edge of his bed, letting the magnitude wash over him. 2 days ago, December 23rd, Barbara had filed his adoption petition with the court. She'd called afterward, voice warm with optimism. "The psychologist's report is strong. Dr. Winters documented everything Emma revealed about the previous abandonments and the abuse. Combined with your military record, your community support, and Emma's clear attachment to you, Jack, I think we have a real chance." He'd allowed himself to hope, to imagine Emma Morrison becoming Emma Sarah Morrison permanently. Now, Christmas morning, that hope felt almost tangible. Jack pulled on jeans and a sweatshirt, then headed downstairs. Emma sat cross-legged by the tree, counting presents. Her lips moved silently. When she saw him, she grinned. "There's 12 presents with my name." "Coffee first," Jack reminded her gently. "Then we'll open everything together." He started the pot brewing. While it dripped, he watched Emma through the kitchen doorway. She touched each gift carefully, reading the tags, arranging them in some order only she understood. Sarah would have loved this. The thought came without the usual stab of grief. Instead, Jack felt her presence like a warm hand on his shoulder. She'd brought them together. He believed that, completely now. Coffee ready, Jack settled on the couch. Emma immediately positioned herself beside him, vibrating with anticipation. "Okay," Jack smiled. "Go ahead." The next hour unfolded like something from a dream. Emma opened each present with reverent care, smoothing wrapping paper flat before moving to the next. Clothes from Mrs. Patterson and the church ladies, practical but new, not hand-me-downs. Books from Barbara's family, art supplies from Pastor Williams. Emma examined everything with wonder. She held up a blue winter coat, pressed her face against the soft lining. "It's so warm," she whispered. But Jack had saved one gift for last. A small velvet box, hidden behind the tree skirt. "There's one more," he said quietly. Emma's eyes widened. She took the box with both hands, opened it slowly. A silver locket lay inside, delicate and perfect. Emma lifted it free. On the back, engraved words caught the morning light. "You'll always have a family." "Open it," Jack said. She worked the tiny clasp. The locket opened to reveal 2 photos, Sarah on the left, smiling at the camera, Jack on the right, in his dress uniform. Emma stared for a long moment. Then tears spilled down her cheeks. "It's us," she breathed. "All of us." Jack helped her fasten it around her neck. The locket settled perfectly over her heart. At 1 p.m., they arrived at the church fellowship hall. The congregation had organized a celebration dinner, tables laden with ham, casseroles, pies, and cookies. A banner hung across one wall. "Welcome home, Emma." People surrounded them immediately. Hugs, well wishes, wrapped presents pressed into Emma's arms. Barbara approached with an envelope. "For Emma's education fund," she said simply. Everyone contributed. Jack opened it later, away from the crowd. Inside, checks and cash totaling nearly $3,000. His vision blurred. They ate together at long tables. Emma sat between Jack and Mrs. Patterson, chattering about her new art supplies, her eyes bright. At 3 p.m., the pastor called everyone together for prayer. He spoke about family, about love that transcends blood, about God's provision. "Let's thank the Lord for bringing these two together," Pastor Williams said. The room fell quiet. Emma reached for Jack's hand. "Thank you, God," she said clearly, "for sending me my dad." The word hung in the air. Dad, not Jack Dad, just Dad. Jack's tears came without warning. He pulled Emma close, buried his face in her hair, and wept. Around them, the congregation whispered amens. That evening, they returned home stuffed with food and glowing with contentment. Jack made popcorn, while Emma changed into her new pajamas. They settled on the couch for "It's a Wonderful Life." Halfway through, Emma curled against his side. The locket gleamed at her throat. "I prayed for a real family," she whispered, "every night for months. I asked God to send me someone who wouldn't leave." Jack kissed the top of her head. "And what happened?" "Miss Sarah sent me you." Emma looked up at him. Her expression held absolute certainty. "She knew you needed me too." They went to bed at 9 p.m. Jack tucked Emma in, smoothed her hair back. "Dad?" She tested the word again, smiling. "Yeah, sweetheart. This was the best day of my whole life." Jack's heart felt too big for his chest. "Mine too." He left her door cracked, light from the hallway spilling across her sleeping form. Complete. That's what he felt. Complete. December 28th arrived cold and gray. Emma was at school. Jack worked on paperwork at the kitchen table. Medical forms, background check updates, everything Barbara needed. His phone rang at 10 a.m. Barbara's name lit the screen. "Good news, I hope," Jack answered. Silence stretched too long. "Barbara?" "Jack." Her voice carried none of its usual warmth. "Kelly's lawyer filed a new motion yesterday. I just received it." Ice formed in Jack's stomach. "What kind of motion?" "Kelly is engaged to a man named Bradley Thompson. He's a successful businessman, commercial real estate, very wealthy. They're presenting themselves as a stable, two-parent household." Barbara paused. "The motion specifically contrasts that against you as a single, childless man with documented PTSD." The room tilted. "But the evidence, Emma's testimony. They're arguing Kelly has transformed her life. Reformed addict, stable relationship, financial security. The judge already favored biological parents' rights. Now Kelly looks like the more stable option on paper." "On paper?" Jack's voice came out hoarse. "What about reality? I'm investigating Thompson now. But Jack, I have to be honest with you." Barbara's tone gentled. "This changes everything. We might lose." The words landed like physical blows. Jack heard Emma's voice in the background. She'd come home early, let herself in with the key he'd given her. She walked into the kitchen just as Barbara said through the speaker, "I'm so sorry, Jack. I really thought we had a chance." Emma froze. Color drained from her face. "Emma." Jack reached for her. She backed away. Her hand clutched the locket at her throat. "No." The word came out broken. "No, no, no." She turned and ran. Her footsteps pounded up the stairs. A door slammed. Jack stood alone in his kitchen at noon, phone still clutched in his hand, Barbara's voice still speaking. But he couldn't hear her anymore. Couldn't hear anything except Emma's sobs echoing through the ceiling. At 2 p.m., Jack sat in his truck in the abandoned diner's parking lot. He'd driven here without conscious thought, drawn to Sarah's memory like a drowning man reaching for shore. The boarded windows stared back at him, silent, empty. He'd failed. Again. Couldn't save his wife. Couldn't save soldiers in combat. And now he couldn't save Emma. Single, childless man with PTSD. The words circled his mind like vultures. Maybe they were right. Maybe he wasn't enough. Maybe Emma deserved someone whole. Someone without nightmares. Someone who didn't carry death on his conscience. Jack dropped his head against the steering wheel. He had no idea what to do next. Jack knelt in the frozen grass, one hand pressed against Sarah's headstone. The granite felt like ice beneath his palm. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison, beloved wife, 1975 to 2023. I'm sorry. His voice cracked in the winter stillness. I'm so sorry, baby. 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve. The cemetery stood empty except for Jack and the rows of silent stones. Gray clouds hung low, threatening snow. I couldn't save you. The words poured out now, unstoppable. You were dying while I was halfway across the world, and I couldn't get home, couldn't hold your hand, couldn't tell you one more time how much I loved you. Wind rustled through bare branches. Jack's tears came hot against the cold air. And those soldiers. God, Sarah, their faces. I see them every night. The ones I couldn't patch up fast enough. The ones who bled out while He choked. While I tried everything and it wasn't enough. He dropped his head. His shoulders shook. Now, Emma, this beautiful, broken little girl you brought into my life, she calls me Dad. She trusts me. And I'm going to lose her, too. Jack's voice rose, raw with anguish. Some hero I turned out to be. Can't save anyone. Not you. Not them. Not her. Silence answered him. Just wind and the distant sound of traffic. I'm not enough, Jack whispered. I was never enough. He stayed there, kneeling in the dead grass, empty of everything except grief. Footsteps crunched on frozen ground behind him at 4:30. Jack didn't turn. Probably the groundskeeper, making rounds. Then a small hand touched his shoulder. Dad? Jack's head jerked up. Emma stood beside him, bundled in her blue winter coat. Behind her, Marcus waited by his patrol car, giving them space. Emma, what? Chief Marcus came and got me. She sat down in the grass beside him, not caring about the cold. He said you needed me. Jack wiped his face quickly. Sweetheart, you shouldn't see me like this. Why not? Emma's voice held simple logic. You've seen me cry lots of times. Fair point. Jack managed a broken laugh. Emma studied Sarah's headstone. She reached out, traced the engraved letters with one mittened finger. I had a dream about Miss Sarah, she said quietly. Night before last. She was standing in the diner wearing her apron. Everything was bright and warm. Jack's throat tightened. She told me you were coming. A hero who needed saving, too. Emma looked at him with those old young eyes. She said heroes carry heavy things. That's what makes them heroes. They carry stuff so other people don't have to. Tears slipped down Jack's weathered face. But she also said... Emma moved closer, leaned against his side. She said even heroes need help sometimes. That's not weakness. That's just being human. Jack pulled her into his arms, held her tight. You saved me, Dad. Emma's voice muffled against his coat. From being hungry and scared and alone. You gave me a home. You taught me what love looks like. She pulled back, looked up at him fiercely. Whatever happens in court, you already saved me. Nobody can take that away. Marcus approached then, quiet and respectful. Jack, time to head back, brother. They returned home at 6 p.m. The evening stretched ahead of them, New Year's Eve in a town already celebrating. Emma made them hot chocolate. They sat together on the couch, lights from the Christmas tree still twinkling in the corner. Let's make resolutions, Emma said suddenly. That's what people do tonight, right? Jack nodded. Okay. Emma held up one finger. Mine is fight hard. No matter what happens tomorrow or next week or whenever, fight hard for our family. Emma, your turn, she insisted. Jack took a shaky breath. Fight hard. For us. For the truth. For what's right. They clinked their mugs together solemnly. At midnight, they watched the ball drop on TV. When the crowd cheered and confetti fell, Emma hugged him tight. Happy New Year, Dad. Happy New Year, sweetheart. January crawled past in tense preparation. Barbara worked 12-hour days building their case. Dr. Winters compiled her psychological evaluation. Mrs. Patterson wrote detailed observations about Emma's transformation. The church community submitted letters, dozens of them, attesting to Jack's character and Emma's well-being. Marcus investigated Bradley Thompson, but the man appeared clean. Successful business, no criminal record, active in community organizations. Emma had nightmares. Jack did too. They'd find each other at 3 a.m., make tea, sit together in the quiet darkness. We'll be okay, Jack would say, not sure if he believed it. We'll be okay, Emma would echo, holding his hand. January 15th arrived bitterly cold. 9 a.m. Jack and Emma walked into the courthouse, Barbara beside them. Emma wore her nicest dress, navy blue, bought special for this day. The locket gleamed at her throat. Kelly waited inside with Bradley Thompson and her lawyer, Derek Foster. She looked good, healthier than Jack had ever seen her. Clean clothes, styled hair, clear eyes. Bradley was tall, polished, expensively dressed. He shook Derek's hand confidently. Emma's grip on Jack's hand tightened to painful. Breathe, Jack whispered. Just breathe. The courtroom filled. Judge Rebecca Harrison entered at 9:15, expression neutral. Be seated. We're here regarding custody of minor child Emma Carter. Mr. Foster, you may begin. 9:30 to 10:30. Kelly and Bradley presented their case. Kelly spoke tearfully about her struggles with addiction, her moment of clarity in rehab, her commitment to sobriety. Bradley described their stable home, his financial resources, his willingness to be a father to Emma. Derek Foster painted Kelly as a reformed woman, denied her second chance. He emphasized biological bonds, mother's rights, the importance of family reunification. Jack watched the judge's face, saw nothing. 10:30 to 11:30. Barbara presented Jack's case. Dr. Winters testified about Emma's trauma, her attachment to Jack, her fear of returning to Kelly. Medical records documented neglect. Mrs. Patterson described Emma's academic and emotional progress. Letters from community members filled a folder 3 inches thick. Barbara spoke passionately about the life Jack had given Emma in just 8 weeks. About stability, safety, love. Still, Judge Harrison's expression remained unreadable. At 11:30, she held up one hand. I've heard enough from counsel. Her voice carried weight. This court will recess for lunch. At 1 p.m. I'll speak with Emma privately in my chambers. After that, I'll render my decision. The gavel fell. 11:45. Jack's stomach dropped. Private interview. Emma, alone with the judge. It's standard procedure, Barbara murmured. Let Emma speak for herself. That's good for us. Lunch passed in a blur. Emma couldn't eat. Neither could Jack. They returned to the courthouse at 12:45. At 1 p.m. exactly, Judge Harrison's bailiff appeared. Emma Carter, the judge is ready for you. Emma stood. Her face had gone white. Jack knelt in front of her. Tell the truth. That's all. Just tell her the truth. I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. He touched the locket at her throat. But you're brave. You've always been brave. Emma hugged him fiercely. Then she followed the bailiff through the heavy oak door. It closed behind her with a soft click. Jack sank into the hallway bench, dropped his head into his hands, and prayed more desperately than he'd ever prayed in his life. Inside Judge Harrison's chambers, Emma sat in a leather chair that made her feet dangle above the floor. The judge sat across from her, not behind her big desk. She'd taken off her black robe, wore just a regular gray suit now. "I'm not going to hurt you, Emma," Judge Harrison said gently. "I just want to talk. No lawyers, no parents, just us. Is that okay?" Emma nodded, her hands twisted in her lap. "Tell me about living with Jack Morrison." Emma's shoulders relaxed slightly. She could talk about this. "He makes me breakfast every morning," she began quietly. "Scrambled eggs, usually. Sometimes pancakes on weekends. He packs my lunch for school and puts notes in the bag. They say things like, 'Have a great day,' or 'You're wonderful.'" The judge listened without interrupting. "He helps me with homework at Miss Sarah's old kitchen table. I'm behind in reading, but he's patient. Never gets mad when I don't understand something." Emma's voice grew stronger. "He tucks me in every night, reads me stories, tells me I'm safe and he'll be there in the morning." "And is he? There in the morning?" "Every single day." Emma met the judge's eyes. "Every single day for 8 weeks now. He's never left me. Not once." Judge Harrison made a note. "What about your mother? Tell me about her." Emma's chest tightened. But Dad said, "Tell the truth." "My mama? She tries," Emma said carefully. "She really does. When she's good, she's really good. She'll hug me and say she loves me and promise things will be different. But trying isn't the same as being there." Emma's voice dropped. "She left me 4 times before this, said she couldn't handle it, that I was too much. Then she'd come back when money ran out or she got lonely." The judge leaned forward slightly. "Her boyfriends—" Emma swallowed hard. "They weren't nice. One of them, he'd yell so loud the walls shook. Mama would get high to forget about it. Then she'd forget about me too, forget to buy food or pay for the motel room. I'm sorry that happened to you." Emma shrugged. "It's okay now. I got Dad. Jack's not your biological father." "No, ma'am. But he's my real dad." Emma touched the locket at her throat. "Being there every day, making sure I'm fed and safe and loved. That's what makes someone a real parent. Not just blood." Judge Harrison's expression softened. "Miss Sarah knew," Emma continued. "Jack's wife who died. She helped me and Mama last year when we had nothing. She gave me this rabbit." Emma's voice caught. "She gave me pancakes and kindness, and she didn't have to. She saw something in me worth caring about. She sounds like a special person. She was. And she brought me and Dad together. I know she did." Emma wiped her eyes. "Because Dad needed saving, too. From being sad and alone. We save each other." The judge was quiet for a long moment. "Emma, if I send you back to your mother and Mr. Thompson, they'll have money. A nice house. 2 parents. Wouldn't that be good?" Emma's hands clenched. "I don't need money or a big house. I need someone who shows up, who keeps promises, who loves me even when I'm scared or struggling or not perfect." Her voice grew fierce with conviction. "Dad does that. Every single day. He's teaching me what love actually looks like. Not just words, actions. Real, everyday, consistent love." Judge Harrison nodded slowly. "Thank you for your honesty, Emma. You can go back to Jack now." 2 p.m. The judge sat alone in her chambers for several minutes. Then she picked up her phone. "We'll reconvene at 3. I need more time." 2:15. Marcus burst through the courthouse doors, breathing hard. He found Barbara in the hallway. "I need to speak to the judge. Now. It's about Bradley Thompson." Barbara's eyes widened. "What did you find?" "Record from Montana. Domestic violence charges, 2 different women. He's been hiding it. Changed counties, sealed records. But I got a contact in Billings PD." Marcus thrust papers at her. "He's dangerous." Barbara's face went pale. "Oh my God." 2:30. Derek Foster stood in the courthouse hallway with Kelly and Bradley. Barbara approached with Marcus beside her. "Mr. Thompson?" Barbara said coldly. "Care to explain your arrest record in Montana?" Bradley's polished smile froze. Kelly turned to him. "What's she talking about?" "It's nothing." Misunderstanding from years ago. 2 restraining orders, Marcus said flatly. Assault charges. Pattern of targeting vulnerable women. The color drained from Kelly's face. Brad? Kelly, don't listen to them. You lied to me. Her voice shook. You said you'd never been in trouble. You said, I was helping you, giving you stability. Kelly stepped back from him. Her hands trembled. Derek Foster looked between them, professional composure cracking. Mr. Thompson, is this true? Bradley's jaw clenched. He didn't answer. Kelly sank onto a bench, put her head in her hands. I'm such an idiot, she whispered. I thought money would fix everything. Thought a big house and a husband would make me a good mother. Tears streamed down her face. But I can't even pick a decent man. Can't keep myself sober. Can't? She looked up at Barbara, at Marcus. Emma told the judge the truth, didn't she? About me, about all of it. Barbara hesitated, then nodded. 2:45. Kelly stood in the women's restroom, staring at her reflection. The nice clothes, the styled hair, the makeup, all a costume. Underneath, she was still the same broken woman who'd left her daughter behind a dumpster. Sarah's words came back to her. From that day, 8 months ago, when she'd broken down in the diner, sometimes loving someone means letting them have the life you can't give them. Kelly hadn't understood then. Thought Sarah was telling her to give up. But now she finally saw. Love wasn't holding on no matter what. Love was knowing when to let go. 3 p.m. The courtroom reconvened. Kelly stood, her voice barely audible. Your Honor, I'd like to speak. Judge Harrison nodded. I'm withdrawing my petition for custody. Kelly's voice broke. And I'm voluntarily terminating my parental rights. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Jack's head jerked up, disbelieving. Kelly continued, tears streaming. I want supervised visitation rights. Once I'm really stable, really sober. Not now, but someday. If Emma wants to see me. Mrs. Carter, do you understand what you're doing? Judge Harrison asked. This is permanent. I understand. Kelly looked at Emma. My baby deserves more than I can give her. She deserves someone who'll be there every morning, who'll keep promises, who'll love her the way she needs. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She deserves Jack. 3:30. They met in a small conference room. Kelly, Emma, and Jack. Kelly knelt in front of her daughter. I'm so sorry, baby, for everything, for leaving you, for scaring you, for not being what you needed. Emma's lips trembled. That lady at the diner, Miss Sarah, she told me once about real love. I didn't get it then. Kelly touched Emma's face gently. But I do now. Loving you means letting you have the life I can't give you. Mama, be happy, sweetheart. Let your dad, give you everything you deserve. Kelly stood, looked at Jack. Take care of my girl. Always, Jack whispered. Kelly left through the side door. 4 p.m. Judge Harrison's gavel fell. Full custody granted to Jack Morrison, with clear pathway to adoption. Biological mother granted supervised visitation rights, pending demonstrated stability, at minor child's discretion. Jack pulled Emma into his arms, held her as she sobbed, grief and relief tangled together. We're okay, he whispered. We're going to be okay. 3 months later, April 15th, Sarah's diner blazed with light and laughter. Jack had reopened it last month, honoring his late wife's legacy. The community had rallied. Volunteers, donations, support. A special program called Sarah's Table provided free meals to struggling families. Tonight, the diner overflowed with people celebrating Emma's 9th birthday. Emma Sarah Morrison, her new legal name. The adoption had finalized 2 weeks ago. Jack carried out the cake. Chocolate, with pink frosting, 9 candles glowing. The crowd sang Happy Birthday, voices filling every corner. Emma stood beside Jack, radiant in a yellow dress. Her scars were still there, physical and emotional. But they were healing. She was healing. They cut the cake together, Jack's hand over hers on the knife. As the crowd cheered, Emma looked up at him. "Dad? Do you think Miss Sarah can see us?" Jack followed her gaze to the photograph on the wall. Sarah in her apron, smiling that warm smile that had changed everything. "Every single day, sweetheart," Jack said softly. "Every single day." Emma leaned against his side. Together they looked at Sarah's picture. The woman whose kindness had reached beyond death to forge a family. A family built not on biology, but on love, faith, and second chances. I hope you enjoyed that story. Make sure to like and subscribe so that you do not miss out on tomorrow's story. Two of my favorite stories are on the screen now for you to enjoy.